It's November 1932, Western Australia, and the Australian Army is about to lose a war to birds. 20,000 wild emus had been tearing through wheat farms across the Campion district for months, and the farmers, men who'd survived the First World War, men who'd scraped through the Depression, were losing their minds. The emus moved through their land in massive groups, destroying crops, breaking fences, eating everything in sight, completely unbothered, completely unstoppable. So the farmers went to the government, and the government, after what I can only imagine was a very short meeting, decided the military was the answer. The man they handed this job to was Major G.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery. He'd come through the First World War intact. He'd faced real enemies on real battlefields. He was not the kind of man who expected to be beaten. Major Meredith, I need you to take your men to the Campion district and deal with these birds. 20,000 of them. End it.
Consider it done, sir. He arrived with 2 other soldiers, 2 Lewis machine guns, and 10,000 rounds of ammunition against birds. He was not worried, and honestly, why would he be? 20,000 emus, flat open terrain, military-grade machine guns. This was supposed to be finished before the week was out. On November 2nd, 1932, Meredith set up his position, waited for a large group to funnel into range, and gave the order. Picture that moment. The guns are mounted and ready. The emus are coming, thousands of them, enormous birds nearly 2 meters tall, moving across the flat open land in a dark, heaving mass. That low drumming sound of feet hitting dry ground getting louder, closer, filling the air. Meredith raises his hand. The guns open up. And the emus scattered. Not in blind panic, instantly, in every direction at once, splitting into dozens of smaller groups and disappearing into the scrub before the guns could track them. The machine guns kept firing. The emus kept moving. By the time the dust settled, the kill count was embarrassing. The emus were gone. And they were completely fine.
Meredith tried again. Same result. The emus would cluster, draw the soldiers in close, then fracture apart the moment the firing started. Every single time, without fail, like they'd agreed on it beforehand. Which, by the way, they hadn't. This is just what emus do when threatened. Break apart, regroup, keep moving. Pure instinct. But instinct, it turned out, was enough. Meredith wasn't done. He mounted one of the machine guns onto a truck, mobile firepower. He chased them across the terrain, cut off their escape, finish this once and for all. The ground was too rough. The truck couldn't keep up with the birds. The first campaign collapsed inside a week. The press had gotten wind of it. Questions were being raised in Parliament. And Sir George Pearce, the Minister of Defence who'd authorised the whole operation, who'd sent soldiers with machine guns after birds, started getting a new name from his colleagues in Canberra.
How are your emus going, George? Still fighting the war?
Pearce was not laughing. But here's where most people think the story ends. It doesn't. The emus were still there, still moving, still destroying crops. So Meredith filed his report, packed up his men, and went back. Second campaign. November into December 1932. More ammunition. Better positioning. Longer engagement windows across a wider area. And the results improved slightly, and then stopped improving entirely. The emus still scattered on approach, they still regrouped, they still moved through farmland like the whole military operation simply wasn't happening. And this is where the story changes. Because at some point during that second campaign, Major Meredith said something to reporters that nobody really had a framework for. He told them the birds were absorbing direct hits and regrouping. Not panicking, not retreating. Taking fire and coming back. He said it without humour, like a field commander giving a genuine assessment of a genuine enemy. He told them the emus seemed to operate in coordinated subgroups, some drawing attention while others moved around the flanks.
He didn't use the word tactics. He was a military man, and he wasn't about to say that about birds.
But here's the thing. A military strategist hearing that description today would recognize it immediately. Distributed swarm behavior, decentralized movement, no central command to eliminate, no formation to break, no single leader to take down. Every smaller group operating independently. The emus had accidentally invented one of the hardest tactical problems in modern warfare, and they did it without thinking about it at all.
I don't know how to explain it. They just keep coming back.
The second campaign ended. The emus were still in the Campion district. A third campaign followed. The history on its exact details is thinner than the first two, but what everyone agrees on is this. Meredith went back, the emus did what they always did, and the soldiers eventually withdrew again. The Australian government held no press conference, issued no statement, made no official acknowledgement of what had happened across 3 separate military campaigns against a flock of wild birds. The records existed, they just weren't discussed. Years later, an ornithologist, a man who'd spent his entire career studying birds, was asked about the Emu War. He said that if military medals had been awarded for that campaign, the emus would have won every single one. A credentialed scientist, talking about military decorations for emus. And he wasn't joking. Major G.P.W. Meredith went back to his career. Sir George Pearce eventually stopped being introduced as the Emu Man. The farmers kept farming, and the emus kept doing exactly what they'd always done. Moving, scattering, regrouping, eating. Completely indifferent to the fact that they just made the Australian military look like amateurs. 3 times in a row.
The Campion district, Western Australia. Today. The emus are still there. They didn't know they were at war. They were never fighting. They were just being exactly what they were. Wild, scattered, impossible to corner. And the military kept trying to fight them like they were something else. Something that could be broken. Something organized. Something that would eventually stop and surrender. Some things don't surrender. Not because they're strong. Because they were never fighting to begin with. If this story stayed with you, drop a comment below. I read every single one. Before you go, watch next. 5 Monsters Who Fooled Everyone is the perfect next watch. You need to see it.